Hello, this is Shanita, author How to Have This and That. And as you can see from the beautiful trees in the background, I'm in beautiful Katy, Texas, in my usual favorite park in the area. There's a lot of beautiful parks around the globe, the world, Houston, Katy. But this is not far from where I live, so it's convenient and it's pretty as well. Let's talk today about if a reality that you're experiencing does not please you, you don't have to give into it. You can change the reality. You might say, yeah, how easy is that? It is easy. It depends on how badly you want the situation to change. You do not have to, as I always say, give into appearances. You can change that reality to something even better if you believe. And so how do you start doing that? Well, first, your imagination. You know, we have very powerful imaginations. We can imagine the most beautiful things in the world, and we can imagine the most awful things in the world. What are we using our imagination for predominantly? And of course, it's not just imagining for 2 seconds. If you want that reality to change, you have to imagine it for a while. You know, it may be, it depends on your faith level, of course, and how long you've been practicing using the power of your imagination. It could be 2 minutes, it could be a few seconds, it could be a few days. It depends on your faith and your imagination, but you can change your reality if you want to, because we are co-creators of our reality. We do not have to buy into whatever's appearing, whatever's showing up as other people's realities. What reality do you want? And that's the space to live from. Live from the end result of what you want. Stay in that space. And above all, you know not to give into the noise of the marketplace. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace, especially when we have access to YouTube's, internet, this thing, that thing. And we have to tune into the positive. We have to tune into the good. And not all the naysayers, because there's so many naysayers and doomsayers in this world today. But let's focus on what we want. Let's go within. Let's silence our mind from all the negativity. Oh my goodness, we're bombarded. If we allow ourselves. And look, I would tell you frankly, I do listen to some of the quote-unquote negative news. I like to see what's going on. Sometimes I think it's funny. Sometimes I laugh about it. But predominantly, I will turn my attention, my mind, my imagination, if I'm watching TV, YouTube, to the good and the inspiring and encouraging news, because there's that as well. This is just remind you that don't give into appearance, don't follow the naysayers. If you're in a conversation where people are talking negativity, most of the time change the conversation, or silence your mind, or walk away, because we do create our realities. And if we accept the reality that's in front of us, that's part of our creation, isn't it? So remember to focus on what you want. Accept what you want as a reality. Do not get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged because things don't always go the way we want it to. But we can focus on it predominantly going the way that we want it to. And that manifests for us if we have the faith that it does. And another good thing about it is to stay around and be around people who think like you, positively, want to change life for the better. And don't stay around, or maybe your negative friends and relatives. I'm not saying all your friends and relatives are negative, as not all mine is, but I tell you some of them are. So I stay away from those people as much as possible. I call them less and less, because I only want to be surrounded with positivity, with focusing on the good, knowing good exists in the world no matter what. And it should be so for me as it should be so for you. So let's all stop giving into the gloom and the doom. This will always be gloom and doom, and there will always be wonderful things happening. So when you hear of things, wonderful things happening to other people, realize it's not just for them. We are also entitled and can have and deserve to have good things happening to us as well. One of my favorite things, of course, is to be grateful. Gratitude helps us a lot to focus on the good, because we're so busy focusing on all the good things that's in our lives. We don't have time to focus on the non-existent negative things that may not be in our lives right now, but if we really, really want it and have faith, it will appear for us. Focus on the good health, the fact that you have some place to live, you have a job, you have wonderful children. And if you don't have wonderful children, change it to wonderful children, because all children are humans like us, and within each one of us is the good. Focus on the good in any situation instead of focusing on the bad. Focus on light. There's a lot of light in our lives. Let's take that light and share with other people. I remember a story briefly. I was in New York, and I used to work at night part-time and at Delta Airlines, and I used to have to look for parking if I didn't want to pay $50 an hour or something. I was living in New York, expensive city. I found a place. It was kind of dark, but there's always parking there. So initially, when I parked my car there were people in the corners. They were drinking, they were smoking, they were taking drugs, and I was like, oh my God, is this safe to even walk to get out of my car? But then I remembered to focus on the good in people, because we all have that. So I started focusing on the good and all the people I passed by, and I started saying to them, hi, how are you doing this evening? How's everything working for you? And they were startled at first, because they weren't used to people looking at them as humans, because we all are in whatever situation one might be in. And then they started talking to me. Ma'am, how are you doing this evening? Oh, don't worry about your car. We got it covered. We've got it covered. Nobody's going to touch it. And don't worry about you either. We have your back. And I said, wow, that was easy. Why? Because I focused on the good within them and started treating them like they were human, because they were. And from that day, I had no problems with my car. Every time I got out, they were all, ma'am, we've got your back. Don't worry about it. And then later on, as I got more familiar with them, when I had some extra money, I would share with them, oh, buy a bowl of soup tonight, buy a cup of coffee tonight, buy some cigarettes if that's what you want tonight. And I realized, wow, we all have good within us. We just want people to recognize it. And therefore, my God self recognized their God self, and life was great. So just think of life like that, because it works that way. Whatever situation, wherever you bring into a situation, wherever you think into a situation, wherever you imagine into a situation, there shall it be for you. And that's how it works, easy and effortless. Okay, short video and over and out. But remember, you create your reality. You are co-creators of your world. You do not have to give into appearances. You can change the power of your imagination, meditate, think differently, be with different people, and you shall have the reality of your dreams. Over and out. P.S. I would appreciate you clicking on my videos, subscribing to my channel, Shanita Cummings Lewis, buying my books on Amazon. My signature book is How to Have This and That, because we can have this and that if what we believe. Thank you so much. Create a prosperous, successful day. Be blessed, be prosperous, and remember, you co-create your life. Over and out.